The problem with a lot of these arguments and these debates, the flag in particular, is that people don't want to empathize. That's the problem I had so many years ago. I was not willing to see the other side. I was all about being right. Well, you know what? There's something better than being right. You can be decent. You can be a good human being. I'm 41 years old, and for my entire life, there have been good people here, civil people, Christian people. There's also been this thing hanging over where I'm from in Charleston, South Carolina, this legacy of racism as represented by the Confederate flag. Charleston, South Carolina today is beginning to get past some of that. The South's beginning to get past some of that in much the same way that I got past that a few years ago, and I'm now speaking out about it probably louder than I ever have given current events. So there are many Confederate flags, and the last flag that flew above the Confederate States of America, the little square in the corner where our stars are on the American flag, is the battle flag, and the rest of it was white with a red stripe on the end. The battle flag was the Army of Northern Virginia and Robert E. Lee, but that was sort of adopted during the Civil Rights era. I mean, the Confederate flag went up above the South Carolina State House in 1965. It was part of the centennial. What else was going on in 1965 in the United States and in the South and in South Carolina? I don't think that's a big secret. So while it was commemorating a certain historical time when it went up, or the 100-year anniversary or whatever of the end of that war, it was also putting it in people's face, the civil rights era and the civil rights leaders and heroes. That's exactly what was going on. That Confederate flag being put up was as much a reaction to Rosa Parks as it was commemorating anything. And that's something that a lot of Confederate flag defenders, including myself, would just leave out of the equation. You can't leave that out of the equation. Black Americans certainly don't leave that out of the equation.
That's the flag that they used when they burned my ancestors' homes down.
The American flag was used in Klan marches before that flag was.
Not the American flag. That's the flag that they used when they burned my ancestors.
That flag was used, I mean the United States flag, the Stars and Stripes, was used in Klan marches.
That's been the story of the Confederate flag in the South for so long. I think we're at a point now where Black Americans, Black Southerners, Black Charlestonians have more of a voice and more influence, and they've always seen the flag in the same light, but just nobody would listen, or they didn't have a voice loud enough to be heard. And I think that's a significant difference that we're seeing now. I think they were offended by it when the Dukes of Hazzard was popular. I think they were offended by it when Leonard Skinner was using it. And the Dukes of Hazzard was not about racism. Leonard Skinner are not about racism. But I think Black Americans viewed it in the same way, just nobody would listen, and now they're listening.